GitanjaliGifts.com. So what is the objective for that part versus the tablet part? What has been the experience? How have franchisee performed versus the .com and the whole? It'll be interesting learning for everybody.
Yeah, I think initially we were, initially when I heard of the new concept of e-franchisee, I was concerned, how will this online site and then there's a franchisee also, how is that going to interact? It actually has turned out fairly well. We don't look at it as cannibalization of our sales at all. The way we look at it is, this is assisted commerce. For us, here is a person who wants to buy online, but they are not comfortable or they don't have electronic payment mechanisms. The Gitanjali name helps, but the transaction process or figuring out the product is definitely harder online. So what we are doing here is, I would love to be there available for each of these people, and the call center can only help as much. In India we still think assisted commerce, people being there to help the customer does seem to work. So this model sort of is complementing sort of and helping people convert to buying online in a space where, let's face it, jewelry buying online is still young in this country.
Okay. Samir, your thoughts on what's your understanding of what kind of franchises potentially, and I think Nishant, you would have some learnings of, can potentially do better on this. I think there is an angle of entrepreneurship. I was seeing Kishorji's video, and he's emphatically talked about saying that the big difference is that there is an entrepreneur involved in between. So your view, and potentially Nishant, your view after that.
See, that goes from our understanding of India, right? So whatever has been happening in the last 10-15 years is sort of the private sector, and all of that is new, right? Typically how India grew is on the basis of all the small-time entrepreneurs, and that are the people that we want to tap. We want people who have fire in the belly to go out and do sales, and you go to any city, any town, any suburb, you have people who really want to do something on their own. So we're targeting that. And what is the kind of demographic we go after? Not really demographic. The kind of people we go after are small-time entrepreneurs, people who want to be earning sometime, somewhere between 50,000 to 1 lakh. We are not looking at a large people who have the capacity and they want to earn, the ROI would be like 2 crores, 3 crores. That's not what we are wanting to tap in our franchisee model. I'm sure Gitanjali's could be a little different, but we believe inherently that there are a whole lot of Indians who want to be self-employed and are good entrepreneurs.
They want to be, self-employed. They want to figure out, how they manage their income on their own, right? And jewelry is not an easy product to sell. It's an incredibly hard product to sell. So the kind of people who we end up interacting with, they seem to understand jewelry at a deeper level, right? So they understand jewelry, but they don't want to invest the high cost of keeping jewelry inventory with them. So for them, the e-franchisee route is sort of, testing the water as well. So we've also seen, people who may eventually get into the jewelry business, long
to start from there.
But right now they might be just testing the water to figure out how's this model going to pan out for them. So a mix of both. I'm surprised how some franchisees are able to sell products that I find it incredibly hard to sell online. Right? So diamond rings and the sizing, and one of our franchisees just seems to outsell us all the time, and it's amazing, it's incredible, and it's surprising sometimes how the franchisee is able to capture a customer in a localized setting and still sometimes outsell the type of product that online may be harder for us to sell.
Before I move to the technology side of it, and both of you are technocrats to potentially answer this question, we'll get Prajapati involved. Top 2-3 challenges which you see. I know business is not scaled up, but I think it tells us the ground reality also as to what are challenges which you have seen or you potentially see that can come through. Something first.
I can only sort of share what I know as of today. It's going to be incredibly difficult. So somebody was asking me outside the room also. I think we should review what we are trying to do, might be in March, April. And that's when we'll really know what works, what does not work. But what's going to be interesting for us is to find the assortment that customers will start liking. What's going to be very interesting is to figure out how do we enable these franchises to sell, right? Say they were not really, now This is assisted selling. So as much you understand the product, you would be able to sell. Yes, there's going to be salesmen who can sell anything to anyone, right? But that would be might be 10-15% of the larger population. So for us as an organization, there's a huge part of figuring out. Now, guys, when we do Big Bazaar Direct, we are not bringing in everything that you in a big bazaar that you see in a big bazaar onto a tablet. We are only bringing select, really high-selling, fast-selling SKUs. So a combination of I don't think technology is a challenge. I don't think anything else is going to be how we figure out the right set of franchisees, enable them to be able to sell, get the right assortment in. And a big part is going to be whether we will be able to get the fulfillment in place, the supply chain part of it. We are not a stock and sell model. It's going to be direct to the customer. So there are huge parts of the business which is non-technology that has to fall in place. So very excited, but I think very early days. We just sort of incubated it, taken it out of the box. It's sort of started to crawl now. So we'll see.
Sure. Nishant, your side of challenges which you have faced or any anticipation?
So I think selection is one of them, definitely.
Basically assortment.
Yeah, assortment. Should we show our entire SKUs versus does some of it really work for e-franchisee is something that we think about all the time. Supply chain, jewelry supply chain, of course, continues to be a challenge. Distributing the product across every pin code in India is still a huge challenge today. So we continue to see that happen. The other thing that we are now seeing is that these entrepreneurs are now also demanding, right? So entrepreneurs know what works in their local area. So they ask for interesting marketing solutions, right? Local marketing, right? How do you get them to reach a new customer base? Because pretty soon they'll run out of the, so even marketing solutions locally is something that, they constantly ask us for, and we are trying to figure that out.
And these are technology-led solutions, or?
I think it's a mix of both. So for example, some of the simple solutions could be just add your name in Just Dial, right? Or it could be as simple, should we make sure that their name appears across our electronic sort of flyers that go out, right? Or we are trying to figure that out. Does Google local advertising work for people like that, right? These are technology-enabled marketing solutions. And, of course, at Gitanjali level, we do advertising in national dailies, of course, but it's not micro sort of
that area,
focus. Yeah. It's not at that level of customization yet.
Fantastic. Sanjay and Nishant both being technologists, and I'll